Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute or Library, the name of my channels on those two websites is Comic Freak. We're going to be looking at another Birds of Prey article, and it's quite funny. Birds of Prey's opening weekend audience was shockingly 54% male. Despite being a female-driven film, the opening weekend audience for Birds of Prey was instead fueled by men, with males making up 54% of the crowd. Despite being geared towards female audiences, the opening weekend for Birds of Prey and The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn had a mostly male audience, as the DCEU's first R-rated film, Birds of Prey, offers a raucous and colorful take on one of DC Comics' famous female teams. It stars Margaret Robbie, reprising her role as Harley Quinn from 2016's Suicide Squad, alongside Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Janae Smollett-Bell, Ella J. Basco, Aaron McGregor, Chris Messina, and Rosie Perez. Birds of Prey scored mostly positive reviews and has notched a Rotten Tomatoes score of 80% as of this writing, down from the start of the weekend but still certified fresh. Despite this, however, Birds of Prey found itself struggling to meet expectations at the box office. The film was initially expected to make somewhere around $50 million, but in the end, Birds of Prey only earned $33.2 million. This marked one of the lowest openings for a DC film and the worst of the entire DCEU. Well, they named the first thing in this article that is wrong. You know that Rotten Tomatoes score that is 80%? Well, when the score first came out, it was at 95%, and it only had that because a bunch of reviewers who were professionals at their job were basically probably paid off by Warnermedia to give good scores to Birds of Prey. But when a bunch of lower reviews began to come in, that started tanking the score. So now it's sitting at 80% from a 95. And it'll probably just get worse if they don't just freeze the score at where it is now. Now that the dust has settled following the disappointing news, more stats are emerging about Birds of Prey's weekend performance. Many expected women to come out in droves to see the female-fronted film, but according to Variety, the majority of ticket buyers were male. Post-track surveys calculated the audience to be 54% male and 65% over the age of 25. While the gender split is close to 50-50, it still indicates that women weren't as interested in Harley's latest adventure. Do you know what these stats actually mean and prove? Well, for one, they prove that men like seeing scantily clad women in superhero costumes do action things, even if these guys had bad taste in this bad movie, but it also indicates that a lot of women are a lot smarter than you people give them credit for and aren't going to go see an agenda-driven movie just because it has women starring in it. The men only wanted to see the movie because it had women in it, good-looking women. But the idiotic Margaret Robbie and the always lame Ewan McGregor just went out and started attacking the fans by saying this movie was going to be focusing on misogyny and racism. Well, not so much racism, just misogyny. But the real problem here is that the stars of this film, as well as the production company backing them, were insisting on focusing on trying to draw in SJWs, even though these people have no money to spend. Why? But the people in woke Hollywood who don't actually believe in all of this want to appeal to these people because it makes them think they look cool and trendy, and in reality makes them look stupid. The Birds of Prey audience being 54% male instead of female is curious, since the filmmakers and marketing clearly strove to reach female moviegoers. The film itself is a decidedly feminist tale that doesn't hit people over the head with it. It would be easy to write it off as a women not being interested in comic books films, but that is definitely not the case. The successes of Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman indicate a real appetite for female-driven superhero movies like Birds of Prey. It could just be that people weren't interested in the Birds of Prey, or that the critical disappointment of Suicide Squad scared them off. Well, here's another mistake that people like the writer of this article keep making. He seems to be equating the fact that Captain Marvel made all of its money due to the fact that it was driven by a woman, and not the fact that it was basically given every advantage in riding on the coattails of the success of the MCU franchise that was able to make over $1 billion. And he puts it in the same sense as Wonder Woman, which was genuinely a good movie that everyone praises. Not the best, but a good movie, that's all it needed. Certainly far better than Captain Marvel, which was generally just a mediocre movie to just being bad. There was nothing happening in that movie. And then you compare it to Suicide Squad, which was a total mess and unnecessarily needed to be an R-rated movie with them putting in F-bombs and not giving anything genuinely good for people to chew on, unlike Logan or even Deadpool. Regardless of why, it's still disappointing that Birds of Prey underperformed. It's a delightfully fun and fresh take on the characters, especially Robbie's Harley and Winston's Huntress. Those who did see the film reacted positively, as evidenced by the 81% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Birds of Prey could make up ground in the weeks to come if word of mouth draws more people in. With the next weekend being a holiday weekend, more people could head to the movies as it stands right now, though Birds of Prey is struggling to find its target audience. As I understand, most people don't like the portrayals of the characters in this movie. One, if they're comic book fans, they're not watching the characters they came to see. They're completely different from what they are in the comic books or in the TV shows or movies they've been portrayed in before. Secondly, this complete and utter nonsense of putting agenda politics into a Harley Quinn movie and even having her basically be a Bernie supporter is completely absurd and insane and turns people off from it. They just want to be entertained and watch a fun superhero movie led by Harley Quinn. But no, they got Birds of Prey that has nothing to do with Birds of Prey and any other iteration of that comic book. And what's more, you keep bringing up the 81% audience score when that is pretty much known that it's gone down significantly, which is pretty much another given. In the weeks to come, they'll go down even further. If, as I've said before, that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't freeze the score, so it doesn't move at all like they did with Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. And here we have a listing of the next DCEU movies going to come out next. Wonder Woman, 1984. Release date, January 5th, 2020, followed by Batman. If all of these movies keep on doing what they're doing with the Birds of Prey, then they will probably all just fail. But if they were to follow the Joker method and just make a great, just independent movie that is good and great to watch, then yes, these movies will work. I have my doubts that DC will do that, but I can hope that they would. Because if they did keep on the track that they had with Joker, I'm sure the DC movies would end up becoming the equal rivals of the MCU. And I can't wait to see that happen because I would really like to see some really good superhero movies. The MCU ones are decent, but not great. But then Warner Brothers insists on doing movies like Birds of Prey, and having their stars of those movies attack the fans and basically disparage anyone who would actually want to see it by basically saying this movie isn't for men, so we only want women to go see this movie. Well, that didn't work. A bunch of men did go to see it because they wanted to see the women in skin-tight outfits go around prancing and fighting. But then all of these articles come out and they don't seem to understand why men would want to see a movie even though it's mostly a feminist, agenda-driven movie, if it has beautiful women in it. Yeah, they want to go see the beautiful women. And they don't understand why women wouldn't want to go see this movie. Maybe because they don't want to be preached down to. See, the strength of the Birds of Prey movie is that it has Margaret Robbie in it. It also has Ewan McGregor. Both of them are, well, pretty good actors. But apparently Warner Brothers is not keeping them on a tight leash and they're able to say whatever they want. What's more, when I mentioned earlier about the audience score, it might be 81%, but as I understand it, the critic score was at 95%, which has dropped down to 80% as of now. If the audience score is still at 81%, maybe they are still monkeying around with it, but as far as I know, this movie is getting bad reviews and no one is really liking it, and that's why no one was going to it. So if I made a mistake, I'm sorry. This article only mentioned the Rotten Tomatoes score at the beginning. It didn't mention if it was the audience or critic score. At least until the end where it did mention the audience score was 81%. So the 80% is the critic score, which has gone down, which should tell you something how bad this movie is. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and Library. I have a video channel on each of those websites, and they're both named Comic Freak. Also, could you please share this video, share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it'll do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore. So please share this video. Also, keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I am Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.